Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me for today's World Session. It's held every Thursday, so if you can't make it live, no need to fret. There will be posted to my website, so www.mmarzak.com. So you can always catch the replays or listen to the session again if you feel you need to. And these are held weekly. Now, these world sessions are not intended for individual aches and individual pains, individual issues. Those I would be happy to guide you through with a private session if you feel you'd like to do that for yourself. So if you can just take a deep breath and tune in, and we'll hop right into this World Body Talk session of tapping into abundance. Right, so someone wrote to me that the neck was something that was bothering them, and that's exactly where we're going to. We're right in those deep neck muscles, and even within the bone structure of the neck, it feels really twisted in there. So C1, which is the atlas, that where it meets the occiput, so the back of the head, that's the bone that your head basically sits on, that it rests on, that it connects to the cervical spine. So C1 all the way down to even to the beginning of T1, the first thoracic vertebra. It feels really twisted in there. And it's interesting. Like, if you were to take a cord or a towel and you twist it and twist it and twist it, and so that's impacting the nerves, the nervous system. It's even affecting the pons, the brain stem, the cervical fluid. Um, whoa, that was a big energy. Affecting the bones themselves. So all of those the individual vertebra, it's affecting the gray matter, the white matter, the pia matter, the motor fibroids, the arachnoid matter within. Oh, I'm getting shivers all over my body. There's this twist and contortion. So the white matter is sensory, and the dorsal root. And no, we're not working with the dorsal root. We are working with the ventral root, which is the motor. So the sensory abilities and the motor abilities that are held within our nervous system, it feels jammed and contracted. Oh, so we need to untwist that. So we're going to go ahead and do an untwisting by first balancing the, now we've got to untwist it on its own. So we're doing a Seedry, which is an advanced technique in BodyTalk. We basically fragment, defragment, recontextualize, reprioritize on many, many levels. So not only on the physical level, but we're going down into a circulation of chi, blood, lymph, nerve, photons, all the way down to a vibrational level. And we're doing a Seedry to the whole cervical spine. Oh, to get that to gently untwist. So it's still pretty tense in there. And there's a holding pattern within the neck, kind of, your neck it feels like the neck is kind of crooked. So if for you, it leans more to the right or to the left, or if you pay attention to your neck, if you feel into your neck, you can close your eyes and just feel how your head sits on your head. Is it crooked? Is it tilted? Is it pointing in one direction or another one? I'm going to do a general balancing so that if the head is not sitting properly and there's a twist within that cervical spine, of course, in comes perception. And I was writing about this actually yesterday, contemplating, well, your perspective and perception of life is your reality. And if you want to change your reality and what you're experiencing, then you need to have a shift in perspective. But that's impossible at this point because the neck is all crooked and it's affecting the way that you see. Ooh, so the energy is moving really, really quickly. I want to anchor this so it slows down. It just feels really fast. So I'm going to we're going to link all of this work to the iliums and the full ilium. So the whole iliac crest, the tip and the whole wingspan, so to speak, of the iliums, which is your hips. And now the hips are your foundation. So the foundation for your spine, the foundations of your life on in a metaphysical way of saying, right? It's the foundations of life. It's the foundations of your life. We're going to ground this into the iliums. But it feels like the energy just wants to go whoop, right back up into the brain, up into, not the brain, sorry, right up into that mind and into thought. The eyes want to roll right up, and we need to bring it way down, anchor it right deep into that wisdom of the body. The answers will not be found in the mind. You may have questions, but you're looking, feels like there's a looking up for the answers. The answers you seek are not in your mind. And what you see is not necessarily so. So I'm going to go in and manually back to the cervical spine and untwist. And that seed tree is working on a very, very deep level. And it feels crinky in there. It feels kind of dry and crispy. So the cervical spine, we don't want that to be dry and crispy. So we're going to go ahead and do an extra hydration, doing and a body chemistry at the same time. It feels like old, any kind of virus, so general body chemistry, general virus, bacteria. No, we're going to go ahead and bring in fungus and any kind of micro parasites, even heavy metals. So toxins are coming in, and they've kind of lodged themselves within the disc, the intravertebral disc, and it's eating away at the discs. And there's a bunch of thoughts and active memories in here. So we're going to go ahead and first flush those, do a body chemistry to the intervertebral discs to get them nice and get those so they're not being affected, right? So that they're plumping up and nicely fully hydrated and clean. It's coming in the body's natural capacity to make hydrogen peroxide. It needs to be cleaned out. And this needs to be cleaned out from stagnant chi that's in there that's causing calcification or erosions. I'm seeing chips to the bone, like shavings. We want those nice and smooth, some bulges. So if there's any kind of crooked curvature to the spine, this will correct that for you in which way your body does it for you. So going in and very gently bringing in then your body's natural ability to make hydrogen peroxide into those intervertebral discs to flush out that stagnant chi, to get it moving, and also within the cells within the intervertebral discs are not cleaning out. So we need to clean out those cellular structures within the discs. The fluid within the cellular structure needs to be nice and clean. There needs to be an expansion and a contraction within the cells, that they need to be communicating with each other, that the the toxins within the cells, or what needs to be dumped, is moving out with ease, and then the healthy fluid is coming in. So this natural ebb and flow. And in comes the consciousness of life, that there's this natural ebb and flow, tapping into life's natural, the flow of life, and specifically with seasons. So there's always a contraction and expansion within the seasons. So fall, there's there's an expansion. We're going to harvest and bringing up fall in the northern hemisphere, and in the southern hemisphere, that would be spring. There's an expansion, and then in comes winter. There's a contraction. We go inwards, and then spring comes and there's an expansion. And then summer comes and there's a contraction. We get more quiet. We get lazy, those lazy days of summer. And so this is showing within that cellular structure that we're going to go ahead and tune into that, so that the fluid can go in and out and in and out, and the toxins can dump. And then there's a flexibility within your cellular structures, within the bones, within the vertebra, within that cervical spine, to be able to bend with life, not have such rigidity. I have all of the answers. These are my rules. This is how life goes. And could you imagine if these world sessions are for aimed, or I don't know, aimed is not a good word, but really tapping into abundance, and all of this rigidity is there, how much you're not seeing, how much you're not really fluidly tapping into abundance. There is no lack. It's only thinking so. You may not have enough, but that doesn't mean that there's a lack. Oof, that was a really big, I'm feeling a little bit of mind go active coming in, and yeah, but look, and all of this proof, but look at my life right now, and I can prove it to you, Monica. I can show you all of the reasons. I can tell you why I don't have abundance, and look at my history, and look at my present, and because my history is repeating itself in all of these stories, that this is how it's going to be, and it's never going to change. And it's making me really nauseous. It's bringing in such a contraction. The body knows what to do. There's this wisdom within the body, and it's just contracting in. So we gonna go ahead and So as the spine is still untwisting, this is all within that cervical, that cervical vertebra. The stomach is coming in, that whole enteric brain, that gut brain is coming in, and it's been completely feels almost like it feels ignored, or dejected is coming up as a word. So need to bring that gut brain back in line within the whole body mind, that the three brains are working together. Got your head brain, the heart brain, and then the gut brain. So I'm going to go ahead and do a 3 brains balancing. Oh, that feels so much. Oh, what relief on that link. What relief on that link. Take a nice deep breath. Being brought right back up to the cervical spine and the cervical vertebra. And now the twisting is happening. That's nice and straight. Beautiful. The cells are being flushed out. That's lovely. Now we're going to go ahead and tap this in. We're going to go ahead and anchor it. We're going to give it a little bit of an anchor, something to ground into, to ground the energy so that it stays in the neck, repairing the neck, but not going up into thought. So that this is not being taken over by thoughts. I feel defensiveness coming up, and yeah, buts. So we want to put those aside. I'm going to anchor this to back into the hips, the pelvic basin, and bringing in the energy of planet Earth for grounding, for nurturing. All right, you can go ahead and take a nice deep breath. Going to go ahead and tap this in for everyone. You can just sit back and relax, tapping the head, tapping the heart and the belly. All right, I'm being thrown into the muscular system of the neck. All of these muscles feel so tight, especially the traps. We're working with this section of the traps and also the muscles that go into the back of the head, and the muscle that actually sits in on the back of the head, which is called the occipitalis, the muscle that goes right up here. And they're holding so tightly. I'm going to go ahead and do it, bring in some Chinese medicine and do a 5 elements balancing. All of the five elements within these muscles need to be balanced out. It feels like they're fighting with each other. They need to work in harmony. Fire and earth and metal and water and wood need to work together. Those elements need to work together cohesively. It feels like they're at war with each other. So beautiful 5 elements balancing. And we're going to link that into, it's bringing me straight into the energy systems. And we're going into the 21 minor chakras. Going into the chakras of the eyes. So often the eyes are name for them is the window, the liver is the seat of the soul, excuse me, and the windows are the windows. The eyes are the windows of the soul. I'm just seeing what we're doing within those eyes. And there's a pathological consciousness within the eyes that we need to go ahead and balance out within the minor chakras. And it's basically seeing only what you want to see. So which brings in exactly what I was speaking of before with perception and perspective. So this, we're balancing out only seeing what you want to see. So those sayings, right? Oh, he or she only hears what she wants to hear, and he or she only sees what she wants to see or what he wants to see, which brings me right back into the lack. Well, since I don't have it now, that means that there's a lack, that I'll never have it. You see, here's my proof. We want to balance that out. I'm going to do a 5 senses dumping, beautiful, from the actual eyes and of the minor chakra within the eye. So we're dumping those filters. So those filters are your thoughts, your beliefs, your attitudes, even some experiences that are being held in there, an active memory thread within the eyes going down, deep down through, it's interesting, leading me through the iris. So we're doing an active memory thread through that, basically the black hole in your eye, right? Which brings in information, goes in through the lens. And it's interesting that the lens is actually called the creative lens. That's what it's called. The lens in the back of your eye, it's called the creative lens. So this brings into exactly that you create your own reality through what you see. You shift your perspective, you shift your whole life. So we're doing a dumping of those filters from the actual physical eye. We're doing a 5 senses dumping from the eye minor chakra and a 5 senses dumping from the optical nerve and that lens. I'm going to link that in going to anchor it to the heart for individuation. It's ready to be let go. This is such a beautiful formula. It's dumping those rules and recipes and limiting beliefs that you have about yourself, your life, others, and this is going to bring in, so bringing in a soul responsibility. If you're curious about that, reach out. It's another modality that I give sessions in and I teach, bringing in soul responsibility. So your soul responsibility, so soul responsibility as in your soul, and your soul responsibility meaning yourself. It's you solely as a person. Your sole responsibility is you to be fully responsible for all of your thoughts, actions, beliefs, behaviors, convictions. Those are all yours. And blaming other people only weakens you, makes you a victim. Now, could you just put yourself into that weak victim space? Can anything happen? Anything good happen from there? Can anything good happen from being a victim? And now all the yeah buts are coming in. Yeah, but Monica, I experienced trauma in my life. My parents abused me. My husband, my ex-boyfriend, my ex-girlfriend, my school, my church, my religion, my siblings, all of these things being regurgitated. Yes, fine, absolutely. Trauma may have happened, but the buck ends here. It is your responsibility now that the buck ends here with you. You get to choose. You get to make that choice. It is up to you. You don't need to heal the past. You don't need to heal everybody else in the world. You don't need to deal with everybody else's garbage. You, your own. So in comes soul responsibility to unburden and to empower. Oh, beautiful. So now that my brain feels a little lightheaded. It finally feels like the oxygen is moving up, and I finally took a nice deep breath, that the oxygen is moving up. So we're in the brain now. And we're going to go in and do a nice circulation of blood, lymph, and nerve to, from, and within the whole brain, to move that stagnant, deoxygenated blood out of the brain, that bring in the new, fresh blood, full of oxygen and nutrients through the whole brain, down to the cellular levels and within all of the nooks and crannies of the brain. Bringing in a full chi circulation, so that chi in the brain is not getting stuck and compacted in there, that it goes up and out and up and out. And there's this beautiful fluid movement, that the nerves are wonderfully firing off, and the synapses of the left and the right brain are in full communication with each other. So that would lead to some clear thinking. Following your thoughts is not thinking. It's merely following a thought. That one was really big. And bringing in the lymph. A nice circulation of lymph. Now people say there is a lymph within the brain. It's called the lymphatic system of the brain. And so we're going to activate the lymphatic system. It only works at night when you're sleeping. So we're going to run this particular formula between 3 and 5 a.m. so that there's this beautiful dumping of the lymphatic system within the brain, that those toxins are leaving. I'm going to link that into the lymphatic system of the body and then into the spleen. Now, the spleen is the organ that knows how to take out the garbage. So this is actual backed up toxins within the body that need to go. So you might get a little bit smelly. You might have to go to the bathroom more often. So whether that be for a bowel movement, or you notice that you're peeing more often, or that you're more sweaty or stinky, it's doing its job. And this is also toxic thoughts. So not only built up of toxicity within the body that needs to be flushed out, but all of those dirty thoughts that you have about yourself, that you have about others, that you have about abundance, about money, about love, about work, about your family, about your children. So all of those dirty thinkings, right? Even if you don't verbalize it, you think it. And that weakens the system. So we want to dump that out so the system is nice and strong. So this is going to go ahead and do that. Now some panic is coming in as I say that. But does that mean I'm a bad person? Does that mean that I'm evil? No, of course not. Of course not. This is all on an unconscious level. And then there's this big association or a big identification of you identify with what you do. You think you are your action. That is not so. You think you are your behavior. That is also not so. It is not so. You are not your body. You are not your thoughts. You are not your behaviors. That's some that needed to be said. There's a nice relaxation on just hearing that. You're not what you do. You are not your thoughts. All right, gonna go ahead and tap this in. Take a nice deep breath, tapping your head, tapping your heart, and tapping your enteric brain, tapping your gut brain. Whew. There's one last link that's coming up, and there's a tightness around the diaphragm. It feels really sticky. We're going to go ahead and do an expansion of the diaphragm. It just needs to be unstick. That's not a really proper English, but it's stuck onto the rib cage. So we want to create a little bit of space so that the diaphragm is opening and contracting with the air that you breathe, and that it's going down deep into a diaphragmatic breath so that all of the rest of your body is properly oxygenated, that is massaging your organs and all of those lower extremities. Oh, that feels much better. So we're just going to go ahead and do, what are we doing? It feels sticky. So we're going to go ahead and do diaphragm hydration to all three diaphragms. So the diaphragm within the breathing cycle within the head, you have a diaphragm in your, just the base over here, you have your diaphragm in the middle, and then you have your diaphragm. There's a diaphragm, the pelvic diaphragm. So all of those need to be nicely hydrated, flexible, and we'll do a nice breathing cycle. Oh, there we go. The whole body just relaxed. Oh, and I've got some movement in I can feel some movement in my legs. Going ahead and tapping this in. There we go. The chi just moved. There we go. All right. Thank you everyone for joining me. That's the end of the session. I'll see you all next week. I would love to hear your feedback if you want to share your experience or if you've noticed any shifts for yourself, even if minute. And even if you don't feel anything or notice anything in the moment, the shifts and the healing are taking place. Thank you all for joining me. You can email me at monica@sproutingtreewellness.ca. I'd love to hear your feedback. You can please go ahead and share this with anyone and everyone so it can reach as many people as possible. All right, loves, have an amazing day. See you next week.